as we hear people sharing their stories, God is able to speak in that. If we look at the scriptures, most of the scriptures are stories, right? And so we want to be sharing our stories and coming alongside one another as we talk about what God has done in our lives and what God is doing. And so this morning, Sean is going to come up and share about the things that God has been doing with him, working with the Blacksburg Refugee Partnership. So I'm going to give it over to him.
So, I spent some time this morning just trying to write out everything I want to say, and there was no way that was happening in 5 minutes. So I have a stopwatch instead. But to give a bit of backstory, I actually grew up overseas in the Muslim part of the world. And I mean, I love it. I could talk for hours about that, but like that was home for me and for my family. And so a really hard thing for us especially these last 16 years since 9/11, and in recent years it's gotten worse. It's just been seeing the fear and the hostility and the anger towards Muslims as people that we have come to just love, and they're amazing people, so that's been a thing that's really weighed on my heart, like for years, and especially recently. And right now, we're in this situation, like with this Blacksburg Refugee Partnership, with the refugee crisis. We have 6 families in Blacksburg right now from Syria and from Afghanistan, and they've been through hell. I don't use that word lightly, and they've arrived on our shores. And the question is, like, what are they going to meet here? Are they going to meet fear and hostility, or are they going to meet even an ounce of the graciousness, the hospitality that we received from Muslims as guests in their country? And so, for me, I mean, early months of 2017, it was really like trying to figure out, well, how can I help with this? Like, what can I do? It's such a huge thing. But with the PRP, it's like it was just getting off the ground. There were a lot of needs they had. And the question, they seemed to need tutors. That was kind of a big thing. And that, for me, was intimidating because I'm not a super major people person, especially kids. Like, I have nothing against kids. I just literally don't know how to interact with kids. And so it was just this question, well, like, should I just go and do this? I feel like they need this. With some pushing from people, I took the plunge. Over the summer, I was working with several others in kind of a group tutoring thing, and now there's some of us who are actually working with 3 kids in one particular family in their home. And so I've mostly been working with middle schoolers, actually, and these kids in particular, they had basically 0 education before they got here 6 months ago, and they were in 7th grade and 9th grade, and so there's a lot of catching up to do. We're doing a lot of ESL with them. We're doing even some subject-based, but I felt way out of my depth when I started this. I show up to this meeting, and it's there are basically there are a number of people volunteering, and I was the only one who had not done anything like this before. But yeah, I felt like just jumping in. I mean, it's gone surprisingly well. I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing a lot of the time, and I felt like I was just getting the hang of it towards the end of the summer, and then everything changed again when school started. And so it's still this every day, every week trying to figure out how do I even approach this? But it's been really cool to work with them, to see the kids' progress, to see the gratitude of this family. I mean, again, I talk about Muslim hospital. Every time we're there, they're giving us pastries and juice and whatever. For weeks, they refused to let us sit on the floor. They get a folding chair out for all the tutors. And they're just effusively thanking us as we leave every time. And I feel like I'm not contributing much in the grand scheme of things, but for this family, it's making a difference. And that's been really cool to be a part of, and I think Robbie was praying right before I came up here, that we're part of this thing that God is doing, and I feel like that has become central to my faith in the last year of thinking of how and like we are the agents through which God is making the world new, and like we ask, well, yeah, I'm not getting all preachy here, but what are we doing to build a new creation? And Robbie talked about the Syrian refugee crisis last year, and that was really good. If you haven't listened to that, go back. It's on the website. But I really, really appreciated the grace and passion that he showed in that. It gave me some hope that maybe some of the American church will actually care about this and actually make a difference. So yeah, I mean the other thing is just incidentally at this point, but like I am looking to move overseas again. Like my parents are actually back in the Muslim world now, and I've been thinking about like, is there something I could do in Europe with refugees, or is there something I could do where they are? I'm kind of at this point things are still a little bit undecided, but inshallah, by this time next year I'll be overseas somewhere doing more of this. But yeah, the point for all of you is like we don't need to go overseas to do that. Like there are people right here. There's a way that you can make a difference right here. So yeah.